Three pieces of good news just dropped for the Chicago Bears, and one of them could quietly save this team tens of millions of dollars. This is the kind of front office win that changes a franchise. Quick favor before we jump in, smash like, share this with a Bears fan, and subscribe right now so you never miss a major Chicago update. Because here's the real question: how often do the Bears actually get ahead of the market instead of chasing it? Let's start with the biggest financial win of the day, Darnell Wright. The fifth-year option projections are officially out for the 2023 first-round class, and yes, Darnell Wright is now eligible for that option this offseason. If Chicago activates it, and they absolutely should, the projected cost comes in right around $20.3 million. That number sounds big, until you actually compare it to the tackle market. Wright was a second-team All-Pro. He's already one of the better offensive tackles in the entire league. And more importantly, he's still getting better. $20.3 million doesn't even put him close to the top 10 highest-paid tackles in football. Not even within a couple million. In today's market, that is a steal. Here's why this matters. For the upcoming season, Wright is already locked in at roughly $6.5 million. If the fifth-year option is picked up, the Bears would then control him for the next 2 seasons for about $27 million total. That's basically $13.5 million per year for a high-end, ascending right tackle. That is ridiculous value. And it sets the Bears up perfectly for the real move, the extension. Internally, the smart play is obvious. Pick up the option first. Lock in the cheap control. Then build the long-term deal on top of it. A realistic projection for his extension looks something like 4 years and $112 million, about $28 million per season. But here's the trick that makes this so powerful. When you layer that extension on top of the remaining contract and the fifth-year option, you're actually spreading the money across 6 total seasons. That turns the full package into roughly 6 years and $139 million. Now suddenly, his true average drops closer to $23 million per year. From a headline perspective, he still looks like a top-of-market tackle. From a cap management perspective, he lands more in the 8th or 9th highest range at his position. That's how real roster building works. And this isn't a gamble player. Wright has improved every single season. He played through an elbow ligament issue this year. And he still finished as a second-team All-Pro. You do not hesitate on players like that. Pick up the option. Add a 3 or 4-year extension. Lock down your right tackle for the next half-decade and sleep very well at night. And right in the middle of this, I want to throw today's question of the day straight to you in the comments. Should the Bears extend Darnell Wright immediately this offseason? Or wait 1 more year and let him play it out first? Now let's pivot to some news Bears fans can smile about for an entirely different reason. According to NFL insider Tom Pelissero, the Green Bay Packers are promoting Luke Getsy. Yes, that Luke Getsy. After struggling badly during his time running offenses in Chicago and later in Las Vegas, Getsy had been serving as a senior offensive assistant in Green Bay. Now he steps into the quarterback coach role, replacing Sean Mannion, who has moved on to join the Eagles' offensive staff. From a Bears perspective, this is quietly good news. Jordan Love is already established enough that his career probably isn't going to suddenly collapse. But if you're comparing developmental upside, I would much rather see Luke Getsy working with Green Bay's quarterbacks than Sean Mannion. And it's not just that one move. When you zoom out and look at the Packers' entire staff situation, it feels flat. They lose a respected young coach in Mannion. They replace him internally. They still haven't moved on from Rich Bisaccia, despite special teams being a mess the past 2 seasons. And defensively, while they brought in a solid replacement after losing Jeff Hafley, it's not a hire that should scare anyone in the division. This was a moment for Green Bay to aggressively upgrade their staff. Instead, they stood still. And honestly, that matters. Not because the Packers aren't talented. They are. but because coaching edges decide close division games. From where the Bears sit right now, this is a staff you can compete with. You don't fear it. You plan to attack it. And finally, let's end with something that's just plain fun. Caleb Williams is officially headed to NBA All-Star Weekend. Bears QB1 will be participating in the Celebrity Three-Point Contest in Los Angeles at the Clippers' new arena. He's one of 8 participants. The lineup includes Drew Ski, former NBA veteran Richard Jefferson, and current NBA guard Jared McCain, among others. Now here's the funny part. Nobody actually knows if Caleb can really hoop. Basketball wasn't even his primary second sport growing up. Swimming was. That's something he's credited for his flexibility, body control, and throwing mechanics. So this is basically a mystery reveal. Can the Bears franchise quarterback actually shoot? I'll be honest, I haven't cared about All-Star Weekend events in years. But I'll absolutely tune in for this. Not because it means anything for football. Not because it changes his development. But because it shows how fast Caleb Williams has turned into a national star. From USC to Chicago, from draft hype to franchise quarterback, now to NBA All-Star Weekend, his profile has exploded after the Bears' strong season. And it doesn't hurt that he already spends his off-seasons in Los Angeles anyway. It's an easy commitment. It's a fun spotlight moment. And if he happens to knock down a few threes on Friday night, Bears fans are going to enjoy every second of it. That's the full triple dose of good news today. Smart contract planning with Darnell Wright. A quietly favorable coaching move in Green Bay. And your franchise quarterback getting another national stage. This is how momentum feels. And my final thoughts here are simple. This is exactly what winning organizations look like when they're being built the right way. You lock in your core players before the market explodes, you take advantage when your biggest rival fails to truly upgrade its staff, and you let your franchise quarterback grow into a national face of the league without forcing the spotlight. The Bears aren't chasing anymore. They're planning. They're positioning. And for the first time in a long time, the future actually feels organized instead of chaotic. If Chicago handles the Darnell Wright situation the smart way, continues to stay disciplined with this roster, and keeps surrounding Caleb Williams with real structure, this team isn't just rebuilding, it's setting a real foundation to compete in the NFC for years. That's how you turn good news into real momentum. And that's how you start changing the story of this franchise.